You're listening to a DM podcast.
We would like to acknowledge and give thanks to the traditional owners of the land we record this podcast on, the Yagara and Turrbal people,
and their continued connection to the land and waterways on which we meet.
Hello and welcome to Sportish, where we look at life through the lens of sport. My name is Georgie Trickett.
And I'm Libby Trickett, and I apologise in advance for my terrible voice. It is just where we are at this stage of life.
I mean, it's peak Brisbane at the moment because, as we in Brisbane know, that with the Ekka, which is our Royal Easter Show, agricultural show, for those who listen from overseas, it's where all the country comes to town and they show their wares, and there's show bags and rides and all sorts of fun things. It also brings with it chickens, eggs. You can get your pastry assessed for its quality. Alongside all that wonderfulness also comes the opportunity to spread every winter virus that is going around, and consequently, no one's been to school.
This is what I find so fascinating. I mean, the idea of going to the Ekka at this stage of my life sounds like an absolute hell hole. I cannot imagine ever going to the Ekka ever again, as much as I would like to. But we didn't even go to the Ekka this year, and yet we are still so sick in our household.
It's part of the community vibe of the Ekka. You don't need to necessarily have to pay for a ticket. You too can be included.
You too receive the illness going around Brisbane.
You're welcome. You are welcome. We're not here to talk about the Ekka, though. We're here to talk about those sportish stories that smacked us in the face last week. And my goodness, there is a lot to cover. And I think we have to start with a baby crying on a tennis court. And Libby, as a mother and as a baby-wearing mother, as you are at the moment, I think it's only fair to give you the floor to start with, to set the scene and also tell me your thoughts.
Yeah, it was a really interesting thing. So last week there was a match between Emma Raducanu versus world number one Aryna Sabalenka. It was a super intense match. You know, obviously nerves were high. Pressure was high. The stakes were high. And during the match, there was a baby or a small child who was crying throughout the game. And obviously with tennis, there's the etiquette that you must be quiet between each point as the person is serving. And that's just part and parcel, I guess, of the rules of tennis. Emma Raducanu heard this baby crying throughout the match. It was probably going for about 10 minutes. And she decided that it was time for it to be, I guess, evicted from removed from the stadium. And the umpire was like, "What do you want me to do? You want me to remove a child?" And unequivocally, the crowd said yes. And she was also in agreement that the baby should be removed. I don't know. It was a really confronting thing because I see both sides, right? As an athlete, as someone who's trying to perform at your very highest, I understand the intensity of those situations. Obviously not a tennis player, but, there is an intensity and, nerves that are running high. But as a parent, you also want to be able to experience things and, watch games or, enjoy things that you might have in the past and, when you were back in the day pre-children as well.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I think for me, what was most interesting in my response was that I thought Emma was in the wrong. And
interesting.
Yeah. What was fascinating to me is that if you are so worried about what external forces are happening in the crowd, if you get riled up by being booed, if you get riled up by noises or camera flashes, et cetera, then you're not focusing on what you need to do as an athlete. And I think that was to her massive detriment throughout the match. She ended up losing the match to Aryna Sabalenka because I think she was so distracted by external forces and wanting to control the situation, wanting to control the baby being, making too much noise and all of these sorts of things. So I don't know. What's your opinion? Do you think kids should be at tennis matches or no?
I wanted to take it back a step and actually think about the arena that tennis is played in, because really it's one of the few sporting situations where you can command a quiet crowd. So if you're at a rugby league match or an AFL match and you're about to do an important kick, if you're running up the field to score a try, no one's quiet in those moments.
Absolutely.
And similarly in baseball, in softball, in cricket, there's a rule in cricket that you can't have movement behind the bowler so that the batter doesn't have a distraction from movement, but there's certainly no noise parameters for those sports. Again, at like swimming at the start of a race, there's a commonly held view that everyone will be quiet, but also you can't control a massive stadium at the start of a swimming race.
Correct.
So we have created this environment in tennis and in golf where there is this expectation of complete silence. And I think that's quite unique to individual athletes. It's certainly not something you experience as a team athlete. And so there's a part of me that goes, deal with it. I also can't fathom, as someone who's had 3 kids and has been in lots of awkward situations with my children, if my child is crying for 10 minutes in any venue, I just want to leave because I am so aware that this is not pleasant for anybody and I just need to get out of there. So I think to me that's interesting that you're happy to sit there with a screaming child.
Well, and this is the thing, like I haven't seen the full footage, right? So is the baby like or toddler just consistently crying? Are they coming in and out of crying? Like what is that total situation?
Yeah.
I only saw a very small clip of her kind of complaining right at the end of it all. If I was in a situation like that, I would remove myself until the baby or the child was calm and then return to my seat.
I mean, and we're obviously very pro including kids. As you will have noticed in many of our podcasts of late, you will hear Archie all the time.
All the
time. He's really awake now. And there is this thing where mothers need to have the opportunity to be included in conversations. That's why we continue this podcast, even though Archie might be here, and we thank you for your patience if he's a bit grisly at times. But they need to be involved in society, and in lots of societies they are. So it's a really unique set of circumstances that we find ourselves in where a child can't be at a sporting match. But I think the point that you make so clearly is that there were 2 athletes out there on the day and one was rattled by it and one wasn't.
Correct.
And I think you're going to find yourself in tricky circumstances, and how you respond to that circumstance is everything. And I think we saw Sabalenka win that match, and maybe that speaks to the mental resilience of that athlete.
And why she's world number 1.
So, Lib, we also had some footage that came out this week of Australian NFL player Archie Wilson, who is 18 years old, in America, playing college football, and he was asked a fairly simple question as part of a press conference, and it was just enough to trigger a huge emotional reaction. And actually, I think we might play a little bit of that.
Oh, I turn 19 tomorrow, so I'm 18 right now.
So what's it like being first time you're away from them?
Yeah, that part's hard. I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah, I love them a lot. I got 2 little brothers and a mum and dad, and that's the tough part about being here. I love them a lot and I miss them. But it's, I mean, they know this is what's best for me, and it's good. I can still talk to them plenty over the phone, and they're coming here to see the first few games, so I'm looking forward to that.
When I first saw it, I actually didn't reshare it to our socials for a little while because I just wanted to think about it and understand. I didn't know how to feel about it. I sort of watched it and went, wow, that's a person being incredibly vulnerable, and probably unintentionally. Like it was like this question got asked and then it all came pouring out of him. So he was really vulnerable, but I also was like, what does this actually mean? And it wasn't until I saw a post from Ben Crow, who is an incredible mindset coach, and Libby and I talk about him often. He helped Ash Barty with mindset. He works with some of the surfers. He's well known for his ability to help shape athletes and help them understand and reach their potential. And it wasn't until he posted something about what it looks like to be successful and what sacrifice looks like to be successful that it all sort of clicked into place for me about what this piece of footage meant.
Did you think it was not good, or you just
No, I thought it was wonderful.
Okay.
No, I thought it was wonderful, but I was like, if I was to share this to social, what do I add to it?
Got you. And I totally agree. I mean, the way that Ben Crow is able to distill kind of sometimes quite complicated or seemingly separate ideas is magical. And, highly recommend going to have a look at that video that he put out. But for me, what I loved, there was two things that I loved. I loved seeing a young man being vulnerable.
Yeah.
And we don't see that enough. I was particularly proud because I have an Archie Wilson. So it's literally strapped to my chest right now is an Archie Wilson. And the fact that this young man, yes, it might have kind of caught him unawares, but he has enough emotional capacity and has had that modeled to him in his family, so much so that he was able to tap into those emotions and those feelings of missing your family and, being homesick. Like that is something that is so human and normal and, certainly something that I experienced when I went away on trips as well. And the fact that he was able to show that was magical. And of course, there are all the, bros out there who come on and be like, oh, that's not masculinity and that's not, what we should be modeling our young men. And I completely disagree. I think that is exactly what we should be modeling for young men and women out there, that we are allowed to be human. We are allowed to access our emotions. We're allowed to go and strive and want to be one of the best in the world and do our craft to the best of our abilities. And it's going to take sacrifices and it's going to take hard work and it's going to be hard. And you're going to miss out on things like missing your family and missing out on, different things. And that is really challenging and it's really difficult. And I just am just so full of praise for Archie and his whole family. That what an incredible young man he is.
And I think it also highlighted how we have so many Australians who are in the US college system who would all be in this boat, and the tension that exists between these kids who are going into a system that allows them to train with some of the best in the world in some of the most incredible facilities and be supported in their sport. But to do that, they have to be on the other side of the world. That's a huge sacrifice. And it is this two things existing at the same time where you love it and you're obsessed with it and it's the best experience of your life and you could not miss your family more.
Correct.
Libby, I would like to call on the parents of Australia to unionise.
Yes, love it. What about?
Libby, we're up against a new enemy.
What is it?
It's big footwear. They are infiltrating junior sport at a rate that is unsustainable. And as parents, we have to come together and share our footwear because it's a very expensive time to be alive and I am struggling to keep up with my children's feet constantly changing size and the ever-increasing need for different sporting apparel for different sports.
Well, I would go even further, Georgie, and you started to touch on it there. Like, it's not just footwear, it's just athletic equipment in general. And I would say that across the board, children and their parents are buying too fancier footwear and equipment for their children at a very young age, and it is entirely unnecessary. It is a waste of money, and we absolutely shouldn't be doing it.
I need to declare at this point that I went and bought fancy footwear on the weekend.
Georgie Trickett.
So
you're one of those parents.
No, I'm buckling to peer pressure. So my eldest is the only one on her athletics team that doesn't have a pair of spikes. And so began my challenge last week to source a pair of spikes that I did not have to pay full price for. I refused.
Fair enough.
And so it started with me hitting some of my WhatsApp groups and saying, hey, I've got a child with a size 40 European foot. Can you help me out? I need a pair of spikes.
By the way.
Enormous. Huge. It's only going to get bigger. I'm not spending money on it. They came back, said, no, we don't. No. I got to boxing on Friday and I continued to whinge about the issue I had with having to buy so many different pairs of shoes. And one of the mums at boxing said, Georgie, I can help you out. I've got a pair of spikes. Come and get them from my house. I went and got them on Friday afternoon. They fit my next child. So that's good, but not really addressing the issue that I have. but I've still got one pair. Thank you very much to Julie. I appreciate it. So on Friday night, I hit the Facebook marketplace and I found a pair of Asics size 40 shoes 40 minutes away from my house.
Did you go and do it?
For $40 I did. You betcha.
$1 per minute of travel.
Because I am a tight ass. Do you know what, though? These shoes had barely been worn. The mother was like, I bought them. They outgrew them. They wore them for like 3 races. And I'm like, I know. This is the stupidity of having to buy athletic shoes.
But this is the thing, like, and the intermediate step is the waffles. So then a step up from sneakers.
The sand shoe.
Yeah, they're correct. But they only go to a certain size, and then all of a sudden you have to upgrade to spikes. But then these children are growing out of spikes within, 2 races.
Yes.
So, like, what do we do? What do we do about that?
We pass them down.
No, why do 12-year-olds need a pair of spikes? They don't need spikes.
They don't need spikes.
Waffles. They get them the sand shoes.
But you can't buy size 40 waffles.
Sand shoes.
I looked. I tried. Size 40 waffles don't exist.
They don't
They're a
exist.
kid's shoe, apparently.
Yeah, correct. It's insane. It's crazy. I think it's just such a waste of money for so many parents.
I was at a soccer competition the other day and I looked around and not all the kids were in soccer boots, and I asked one of the coaches what the go was, and they said they have a rule that you don't have to have football boots to play soccer in this competition. And I was like, that's game-changing. Because it's an access issue.
Correct.
And again, swimming carnivals, swimming meets wear speed suits. Is that what you call them?
No, racing dogs.
Are the speed suits the ones that were like illegal?
That was super suits.
Your suits. Whatever it is you wear swimming.
It's insane. Like, we've done a few more little meets, very tiny meets for my oldest daughter, Poppy, recently. And the amount of kids who are wearing full-blown racing togs is insane to me. And these are togs that can be anywhere between $100 and $300 a pop. And I'm like, these are kids who are going to, for one, grow out of them. For two, they don't take care of them properly. So they're going to get wrecked very, very quickly.
What do these suits require from a care perspective?
Well, not wearing them all day and, scratching them on concrete, when they're sitting on the ground. And yeah, like, I just think, and this is swimming specific, and I understand this is a niche area, but like, unless you are at open nationals and over the age of 15, just wear aqua blades or just normal togs. You don't need anything else because it should be about swimming. And it's the same with football. It's the same with running. Just make it as simple and as accessible as possible, and let's see what happens.
And for those of you who are now on a treadmill that you don't know how to get off, may I recommend that you just badger your friends at all their different sports and locations and ask for a hand-me-down, and teach your children the value of hand-me-downs and let them be excited that instead of just running barefoot like we did in the olden days, they now have an excellent pair of Asics spikes for $40.
So good.
Libby, I'm going to round out today's episode because I just want to tell this story. That's the basics of it.
It's story time with Georgie. Let us hear it.
Story corner with Georgie. At the start of the winter season, I started coaching a netball team. When they started, they were the under 10 Division 4 netball team at my club. My children do not play in this team. This is something I did independent of my kids, because coaching is something I've always done when I was a teenager and when I was at university, and I've only just come back into it since having children, and I've really enjoyed it. And when the club said they needed someone for this Division 4 team, I thought, okay, it's not my child. And I was a little bit like, oh, I thought I might have been coaching a higher division, which is arrogant given that I don't actually have any netball skills. But I got put with this beautiful team of girls in Division 4. And really early on, I decided that we needed a name, because when you're in juniors, your team has a name. But then when you get to this under 10 level, you don't get a name. And I said to them, do you want a name? And they said, yes, absolutely. And we had a little bit of a chat on the side of a court one day, and they decided to call themselves the Cyclones. And I bloody loved that because they were slightly chaotic, and it was also around the time of Cyclone Alfred. And I think it spoke to our origin story very well.
Love it.
I also got put with a junior coach, so a teenage coach like I had been. Her name is Ellie. She's about 14 and she plays netball at school and she plays netball at club, and this was her first time coaching. And I have had the most incredible 2 terms of sport that I've had in years. I haven't enjoyed coaching this much in such a long time. And I think it's partly to do with the fact that it's not my own child. I think it's really tricky to coach your own child. And while I absolutely loved coaching those teams over the last couple of years, it's so difficult when you're trying to parent and coach at the same time. And I have nothing but, what's the right word? Admiration for those elite coaches who coach their children, because that is so difficult. But I think as well, just getting back to the reason we get involved in sport. So these girls are in Division 4, so it's not necessarily that they're out there to try and make rep teams. They're there because they love playing the game and they love playing with their friends. And I can say that now because when they started, they didn't really all know each other and they were obviously a little bit scared because you get thrown into this team and you don't know the other people in your team, and it is really tricky to come in. And I was just so grateful that they went along with what Ellie and I put out there, and they allowed us to sort of mold them into the team that they are now. And through that process, they have become this tight-knit, amazing group of girls. And the growth that they've had both in their skills, which is actually, by the by, I don't really care, to be honest, about their skill development, but the development they've had in their confidence and how they operate as a team and how they understand that sport works has just been, it's just been the most incredible experience. And I'm now like evangelical about it, that I say to parents, like, just go and coach. It's not a big onus on your time. Yes, it's an afternoon a week and a morning, but I'm already there. So why not do it and why not get involved? And to have worked so closely with Ellie, who knows so much more about netball than I do and runs all the drills and all that sort of thing, but to work together with her as well and help the next generation of coaches know a little bit about how to coach has been such a privilege. So to the Cyclones whose parents may or may not be listening, thank you so much for giving me the opportunity to work with your children. It's honestly one of the greatest privileges that you can have, is to work with such amazing children.
Oh, Georgie, you're tearing up.
I am. I don't know where that came from.
No, but it speaks to, for one, your passion around this, and particularly around allowing these children to grow and develop as human beings, not as Ben Crow, our guy. Our oracle, Ben Crow, says they're human beings, not human doings. And, you know, the fact that you've allowed them to grow and like you are creating and you are part of some core memories for those kids who will go on, and you've touched them in a way.
What a privilege.
No, it's absolutely a privilege to be able to be part of that and to be able to hopefully plant a seed of that love of sport and that love of movement and that joy that you get from working together and achieving a goal, whether it's, you know, winning a tournament or not, but getting to do that every single week for, you know, 2 terms is exceptional. And you should be so proud of that. And the team should be so proud of themselves and what they've been able to do.
Yeah, we're very proud of them. They've been awesome. And they've been a whole lot of fun on the way. They're some of the funniest kids I've ever met. It's been just such a joy every Thursday afternoon. So thank you to that wonderful group of girls.
So go out and coach. Do it.
Go and coach and be confident that you don't have to have the skills. So often it's not about the skills, and you can find the people in the clubs to help you with the skills. It's about being that sort of coach of people, I think. Yes. A coach of kids.
Oh, Georgie, awesome.
Thank you so much for listening to this week's episode of Sportish, brought to you by Archie Wilson, currently on Libby's chest.
Archie Wilson, lightning Trickett.
He's been so good, as always. He's a little legend. You can find us on our socials at Being Sportish. We would love it if you shared this episode with a friend. That helps other people find us. As a little small podcast, we appreciate all that.
The little podcast that could.
The little podcast. My God, I have to tell you this story. If we walk up hills with the kids, One of them will go, I reckon we need to go into Tate Pogacar mode.
The king of the mountains. So good.
Now we tackle hills with references to Tour de France winners.
Love it.
Speaking of little people who could.
So much. I love it so much.
We will be back in your ears next Wednesday, and we hope you all have a great week.
Okay, bye.
Bye.